Kundalini rising up to the crown chakra does not concern itself with duality anymore, does not concern itself with you and the other. It does not concern itself with how much knowledge it's accumulated, how much wisdom it has, or honor in the world, worldly honor. The world ceases to exist in a way that makes the ego's servitude to the world. When your crown is fully activated, and not only is it fully activated, but your Kundalini has arisen to that point, your modus operandi literally shifts. You move from a place of disconnect to connect. You move from a place of being fragmented to becoming one. You move from a place from duality to non-duality. What does this mean for you in practical terms? Does that mean that you're going to live in an absolutely isolated world where you don't exist, where people don't know that you exist? Maybe. When the Kundalini hits the crown chakra, life literally changes. You are no longer of this world. Although you are here and exist and talk and walk like everybody else, you are not as affected by the mind. And what does that mean? By your memory bank, by your experience. So when you start your day, you're starting your day as it was a new day every day. You are literally very much living in the essence of the eternal now, which you are fully aware of, which means yesterday no longer exists, and what is to come no longer exists, because when your Kundalini reaches the crown chakra, time ceases to exist. Time only exists as long as there is a conceptualized version of our existence which comes from the mind. When there is no living from the mind, which means there's no living from memory, there's no living from experience, then there's no living from knowledge that you have gathered, but you're now living from what you have remembered. So you've literally, what is remember? If you break remember, so it's to remember. When the crown is completely active and the Kundalini has now decided to pierce through that point, you're completely remembered. There is no part of you that is not there. You're holding all of you together. So you are the whole and the sum of all parts in you. As long as you are incarnate, there'll be so many of you that experience the states that are very similar to the Kundalini piercing through the crown, although it could simply be like a spark of Kundalini that touches upon the crown, or a crown activation, a crown chakra activation, but not the Kundalini itself passing through the Sushumna right into the crown. There are few and far in between of you who have experienced this. When the Sushumna is absolutely open, the channel is open, and the Kundalini finally pierces through the last, in fact it is not the last, but the last physical chakra that can be experienced through sensory experiences within the body. So which is why some of you will report feeling a breeze, you'll report feeling your eyes turning inward or upward very, very automatically. Usually these things will happen as you're coming to that point. Some of you may experience physical sensations like your skull is breaking, you are hearing this sudden thud. Yeah, some of you may feel none of that. Now folks, there is an overlap, yeah, and I'm very wary of not going into the symptoms of these sort of things because they can become very misleading. These symptoms, they are there for crown chakra opening, they are there for various healing, they're there for various experiences that we're having, which are not in themselves conclusive that the Kundalini has reached the crown chakra. Yes, the Kundalini can go up and down through other various meridians, other nadis, other channels, but not necessarily the Sushumna, which is what we're talking about right now. When you get to that point, folks, your lens of perceiving reality completely shifts. There is simply no duality. Now, because there's no duality, the other person is you. Now, the other person being you, your entire attitude changes, your entire behavior changes. And this is where so many who've reached that stage, rather the few who have, your life will be about benevolence. You are here, and just the fact that you exist is enough for there to be catalytic changes happening around you, because you yourself then become an antenna. You yourself become the crown chakra. Remember, every time the Kundalini pierces through any point, you become that point. And if you want to know where you are on that point, see how you are really well and truly, without sugarcoating it. You literally look at your life and see, how am I? Am I reacting? Am I responding? Where am I at the moment? A lot of us who would have had an awakening or a stirring, but not necessarily a rising, or even a rising, but not through the Sushumna channel, will sometimes go through feeling that this life isn't really real, nothing is real. You'll not feel fully grounded, which is why having something that connects you to this world, connects you to this dimension, connects you to this earthly plane, will help you in keeping that connection and grounding. And this is the very reason we have children. When we have children, it keeps us in the loop. It keeps us in the cycle of birth and death. Having a child is one of the most grounding things that keep the bridge between that world and this world. So having a child will bring you right back to Muladhara. And you're then walking up to the crown with the child again. Your duties or your obligations to that. Now, we say, the reason why we say child, because the child will be an extension of you. Extension of your lineage, extension of your DNA, extension of you. So when the child is still there are still certain things that you are here for. It may be karma, it may be dharma. It'll depend on what you are doing. Yeah, what you're doing and what that relationship is bringing out in you, your child and you. And if you have a partner, that will also tell you where you are. For those of you who are to go on another route, an alternative route, maybe being a sadhu, a sage, yeah, a healer, a medicine man, a shaman. For those of you who have chosen not to have any worldly attachments, that you do not then want to be grounded. You don't want anything to pull you onto the earthly plane. Those of you who are now seers, you're those that others will consult to see. Yeah, you are, because you're fully now immersed in that other world. Fully being immersed in that other world, and you pretty much spend all your time in that other world. So this world appears dreamlike. Now, for those of you who are fully awakened or awakening, but have this other connection to be here on the earthly plane, how do you maintain that bridge without losing your connection? As long as you're fully awake, as long as there has been a paradigm shift of consciousness, you'll never lose the connection. There will be life-altering things that happen so that that connection which is to remain, the connection. It could be your relationships change all over the place, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's your partner. Things will fall apart. As we know, you will go through your deconstruction. There are those of you who've been in long-term marriages, 20 years, 30 years even, 16, 15, whatever, they fall apart. Yeah. For some of you, you will suddenly meet completely new people. Yeah. So wherever you are, it isn't necessary that you're going to be drawn back into the world and live out who you are, which is your connection, which is your oneness. Yeah. Your purpose is not in what you do, but in what you be. Sending you so much love, folks. We will definitely be revisiting this. Meanwhile, please do leave comments with any questions, any clarity. And remember, we've got over 200 posts on Kundalini. There are so many things that we've already covered, but it's an ongoing process which we are going to keep covering. Sending you lots of love.